So, hey Libra, this is the long-awaited summer 2026 reading, and I'm doing a Celtic cross for you. And this is definitively the beginning of it. That's the center of your Celtic cross. You're moving on, right? That's the Page of Wands. And let's just see what comes up, right? New consciousness, and you're leaving. You're packing your bags. You're moving on very passionately, and you got this new idea, this new consciousness. You learned a few things, and now you want to actualize it. You want to go forward. You're literally standing in the desert, but the foundation of it all is the Ten of Cups, which is a very beautiful energy. It's just kind of the happy home frequency, right? Fortune after difficulty, that's the freaking rainbow, right? And just a happy family, and whether it's you alone, whether it's with you, a family, or whatever, friends, however you live, it's either a stable home or it is the home within yourself. You're really resting within yourself. You kind of found inner peace, right? Ten of Cups is kind of inner peace. And how you came about this, that's the crown of your reading. That's the Two of Cups, right? Making peace with the world as it is. That doesn't mean that you just accept everything that is. It just means that you meet reality on reality's terms, right? So the Two of Cups, that's that's not the lovers, right? That's not a happy couple. That's actually counterparts or opposites, right? Fire and water, male and female, right? Inner and outer, whatever you want to conceptualize here. Good and evil, right? If you want to go in that direction. Morality is always tricky, so careful with that. But let's just see, look into the past. There's justice, but there is also kind of the Seven of Swords lurking, but there's justice in the past, right? Past energy, that's what you're receiving, justice, cooperation, Three of Pentacles. I feel like the hard stuff seems to be over, but there's the Ten of Pentacles, right? It is you that made peace with it, right? So this is probably this new consciousness of yours, where you're no longer trying to fight windmills. The world is infested with narcissists. That's just the truth, right? They're pretty much everywhere. But, so when I say fighting windmills, you can, talk all day about how terrible the world is and how many narcissists they are and how toxic everything kind of became and how dysfunctional everything is. The problem is, it's not about outer forms as it is about inner frequency. So when you go into the rabbit hole of complaining, of, telling the victim story of yourself, which is tricky, sometimes we get victimized, right? And then you're just a victim. That's, first of all, you have to accept that. But if you absorb the shock, if you healed from whatever happened, and it seems like this old chapter is definitively over. If you check out the yearly reading, for example, or back in 2025 when I did readings, 2025 was a horrible year for most empathic people. So this horrible stuff seems to be over, but the horrible stuff is over because you're in a different consciousness. The world is still a mess. There are still narcissistic people out there, but you made peace with it. You're not entertaining their BS. So you're not tapping into the trap or taking the bait of the narcissist. Do not defend, do not engage, do not explain, do not personalize. Very, very important. So toxic people are still here. Wherever you go, whether it's going shopping or to the workplace or you're meeting them everywhere. But they always offer you a reason to lose your inner peace, right? Lose your inner centeredness or your inner core of, that's inner peace, basically. That's the home inside. And this is your strong foundation. And from that strong foundation of inner peace, of really literally deciding or opting every freaking moment for inner peace, you know? So if you're constantly triggered by external stimuli, right? If somebody provokes you, if somebody looks at you funny, if somebody makes a remark, you know, trying to play you on your weaknesses, trying to play you on your insecurities. Narcissistic people always try to bring you into guilt, fear, shame, lower frequencies of your consciousness to play you. Because they know if you're down there in guilt, fear, shame, or hatred, for example, that's the ultimate game. If you're into hatred constantly, you're pretty much becoming one of them. That's how they recruit people, right? But you decided against that. And you decided against that, arriving at a certain consciousness, a certain level of understanding, where you understand how this works, right? That you not take the bait of the narcissist. You can't fight the narcissist because there are way too many. So you're not trying to fix external stuff. You're not trying to fix other people. You're not trying to defend, explain, engage, personalize stuff that comes from other people or outside stimuli. Very, you know, generally speaking, outside stimuli. You're not taking the bait of this. You know, and that's the Ace of Swords and the foundation with the Ten of Cups here. You know that the most important frequency is inner peace. No matter what happens, you can always, whatever happens, right? Whatever happens. If you leave the moment, if you go into dark imaginings, right? If you go into the past and think about who to blame and who is guilty of what, you know, at the freaking truth of the matter is that no matter what happens to you, no matter what happened to you, no matter whose fault it is, you are always responsible for what you do in the present moment. And that is a hard lesson, you know. It's easy to take the bait of the narcissist, being provoked. But I see you actually arriving in your own justice. And this justice is the realization that this is all about inner peace. And in this consciousness of inner peace, you're making, you know, if you make peace within yourself, and I see you having done that, not just doing that, but having done that. This is the summer reading 2026. So this seems to be a pretty good summer, right? Because you're manifesting from that inner peace. You just let the world be as messy as it is and take care about what you can do with what you've got right here, right now. And you're moving on from this mindset of probably, I have to fix the world, I have to fix other people, I have to explain things to other people, I have to make them understand. No, when they're ready, they will arrive at the same frequency. Building a home within yourself. That's summer 2026 for you. So you're building a home within yourself. And with that home within yourself that is inner peace comes a different consciousness that is just yours to embody. You deserve this. There's the Justice card. And again, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. Toxic people, just let them be. And if you are in that frequency of inner peace, of I'm enough, I don't need to prove myself, I have nothing to prove, I have nothing to defend, explain, engage into, you know, I have nothing to personalize, right? I just protect my inner peace and do that on a regular basis, and it's always coming back to the here and now in mindfulness. And the best way to do this is through meditation and breath work. 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. I say this every freaking reading because I'm not, you know, that's so freaking important. Do that every day. breath work. Make the out breath 2 times the in breath. And then you do meditation. Do these 2 things. If you've never done it for 5 minutes, then for 10, 15 minutes, transforms your life. But I feel like when you're resonating with this reading, you're kind of already there. And that's a very good frequency to be in. So with that frequency, you're moving on, no longer arguing with anybody. And this is your frequency, right? You're really embodying that. And what you have in the inside, that's Cups energy, and that's Pentacles energy. And you always have completion here with the 10. So your inner home, your inner peace, that's Cups energy. That's your emotions, that's your intuition, that's your inner emotional, psychological, spiritual frequency, state, right? State of consciousness. And it's a new consciousness, which tells me that you might have not always been in that inner peace frequency. But that inner peace frequency, that is what you protect every day through meditation and breath work, and just coming back to the moment, not allowing anybody to lead you astray into external BS. Proving yourself, explaining. I said that before, but I can't say this often enough. Then you're manifesting this in the outside world. And when I say manifesting, there are a lot of people who don't like the word manifesting. I totally understand that. So it's not some woo-woo concept. It is just you do what you can with what you've got, where you are, and you're always coming back to the here and now. And if you do that, right, something will emerge out of it. You will create something that is corresponding with your inner frequency. And if your inner frequency is peace and contentment, then you will create something that is corresponding in the outside world to that inner frequency. No matter how the circumstances are, no matter to what extent, in ideal situations to a great extent, in not so ideal, if you're in a war zone, right, and you're totally zen about it, you might not. That might mean something very different than if you're in a kind of stable, supportive situation and environment, right? But you're going to attract people who are in the same frequency. And the Three of Pentacles is a good card because you're building and creating something in cooperation with other people who are kind of on the same level. In the outside world, lurking the narcissist, right? 7 of Swords. This has a double meaning. This is in the outside world. I talked about this before. You just don't engage with these people. You know they're there. You cannot change the world. The world is how it is. So let them. Do not engage. And this has a double meaning. This is kind of the spy or whatever, you know. He's kind of stealing the swords from this army in the background. You can't fight them openly, right? He would lose against the standing army. So he's kind of sabotaging them, right? And these people are just there. So you can't change that. But you can change your attitude towards it, how you react to it, and whether you engage with that or not. And that's a choice. And I see you making that choice, as I said, not to engage with that. There is the 5 of Cups. And there's the 6 of Pentacles. So you're getting something out. And there's your old version of yourself, right? Swords energy. That's another 10. My God. So this is the underlying frequency. This is the 10 of Swords. This is pretty much the ending of an old version of yourself. Maybe the old version of yourself that was either crying about spilled milk. This is always, that's in your hopes and fears, so to speak. So you can always say, look back into the future, basically. 5 of Cups is kind of this energy where you look into the past and you mourn what you have lost. And then there's always the reminder that one of these cups that fell down was poison. So there was something toxic about what you have lost. And you can talk about outside stuff, right? Who did what and what happened and how unfair and horrible that all was. We all have our stories to tell, especially after 2025, right? But there was a version of you who kind of a mindset, that swords energy, who maybe tried to argue with these people, right? Argue with these frequencies, argue with the narcissist, engage with the narcissist. And this version of yourself is no more. And underneath there's the 9 of Cups and there's the 8 of Cups. So this is how you probably arrived here at the 10 of Cups, right? Leaving behind what no longer serves you. That's kind of this background story. You got the 8 of Cups, the 9 of Cups, the 10 of Cups. So leaving behind what no longer serves you. And what no longer serves you is entertaining BS of toxic people. And part of entertaining BS is looking back into the past and mourning. There's sometimes you just feel what you feel and what I would never, I'm not about toxic positivity. So if you feel like crying or throwing a plate against the wall because whatever happened in the past, by all means do that. But, be a grown-up about it, every now and then we need to do that, and that's totally fine. But the responsible grown-up way to deal with that is just to realize, okay, what is serving my purpose? My purpose is served by protecting my inner peace and by constantly, slowly and steadily go into the direction that makes sense for you, for me, for you, right? And that's what you're doing. Page of Wands here in the center. And again, that's the old version, completed, right? No longer entertaining BS. Focusing instead on the basis of everything that you're creating right now. And the basis for it is the 10 of Cups. So completion of the old circle, 10. Completion in the realization that it's all about inner peace and contentment, and creating from that what you want to create, one step at a time. And you're not alone in this. You have support. You're meeting the right people. You're kind of vibing or resonating with people who are in the same frequency. Everything is an emanation of consciousness. That's what I truly believe as a Buddhist, for example, which is the pantheistic idea or concept of God or the divine. Everything is an emanation of consciousness. So you're always connected just by your frequency with others who are on the same frequency. That's kind of, in science, you can describe this as the morphogenetic field. So if one monkey in Australia finds out how to crack the nut, then, I don't know, a few years later, on all the continents, all the monkeys know how to crack the nut, right? So they don't take a ship and go there and tell the others, but it's just a field of consciousness. And there are actually experiments that can prove that to some extent, whatever you consider to be proof, but there is at least a statistic basis, a scientific basis for that. So it's not woo-woo nonsense, right? So you connected on a consciousness level with the right people, and it's in that sense really all about what you allow, what you focus your consciousness onto, right? And that's what you've learned, right? And you learned this by leaving behind what no longer serves you. You're no longer entertaining narcissists. You're no longer taking their bait. And they always want to provoke you, make you feel ashamed or afraid or guilty about something. They always try to make you feel insecure. They always question you. They always gaslight you. You know the drill. And they're still there. And you're making peace with the fact that they're still there, because you cannot change the world. You can only change yourself. And in doing that, making that a priority from the inside, you're just manifesting. That's that word again, right? What an unscientific woo-woo word. But hey, I'm a tarot card reader, right? You don't have to understand these things necessarily to apply them. You don't have to necessarily have a scientific narrative about them, but I gave you a few hints about morphogenetic field, how that might actually work. And the universe is on your side. So you got 2 indications for justice, the justice card itself, and you got the 6 of Pentacles, which is kind of reciprocity, the universe giving something back. So the balance between receiving and giving. So if you have given a lot, it's time to receive. If you have received a lot, it might be time to give something back, right? And it's a fantastic reading. Inner peace and manifesting from that inner peace. There is justice. Again, you really deserve this. Wherever you go, you take your home with you, because your home is the frequency inside. The Ace of Cups, clarifying the Ace of Swords, self-love, self-respect, having healthy boundaries, not just having healthy boundaries, but actually creating some discomfort if somebody oversteps them, right? Looking forward, the Page of Wands is clarified by the 3 of Wands. You're literally going towards the right people to co-create with. Maybe you have had done this in the past. There's the 2 of Cups again. I'm not sure where to put it. It's kind of 2 times the 2 of Cups now. Let's just see. Yeah, there's the Empress. This is definitely your energy, inner mastership, and understanding that the inner is much more important than the outer. And the inner is always constituting the outer. Actually, the intrinsic is constituting the extrinsic. You know, so do not chase after external stuff. Yeah, that's the Star card. Is the Star card clarifying the 7 of Swords? That's okay. Let's just see. There's the Magician. Yeah, and the Magician is this frequency where you want to manipulate the external stuff. The approach of the Magician is to go into the external and manipulate primarily the external, right? And this was probably disappointed. And you arrived at the conclusion that the way to happiness and contentment is not to rule the external world and control everything that happens in the outside world. That's a very dark, toxic path. But that's not just the Magician, but actually the High Priestess approach to go inside and be the alchemist. Queen of Cups, clarifying your 6 of Pentacles, bottom of the deck. 3 of Swords. There she is. Underneath that old version of yourself that probably tried to fix your life by fixing external stuff, changing other people, changing relationships, making them fit, healing them, explaining to other people, oh, if I just explain it like this, eventually they might understand. But you know, there are just people who are not ready to receive that. And you cannot change anybody else but yourself, right? And that old approach of, I try to fix things by fixing the outside world or other people, that was heavily disappointed. And a few things got spilled here, but did you ask for it, right? You tried that. Maybe that was your approach when you started the last developmental cycle, but you're arriving at that realization that everything you manifest and everything that you deserve, there's 2 times the Justice card, 2 times the 2 of Cups. So you got the Two of Cups 2 times. Got the Justice card 2 times. Making peace with the world as it is. This is kind of the secret for you. Primarily, it's about inner peace and protecting that inner peace, cultivating that inner peace on a daily basis. This is how you manifest all of these wonderful potentials that you've got. Clarity of your consciousness. You know exactly what you know. That is discernment, that is knowledge, that is wisdom, and that is Philautia, self-love. The realization that the only frequency that you can control, to some extent at least, is your own. And that doesn't make you an egoistic, narcissistic person. That is just making you someone who can shrug his shoulder when some toxic people come along and try to bait you into entertaining their BS. Not today, right? Not now, thank you very much. And you don't need to thank you, by the way. There's the Abundance Mandala, and the Abundance Mandala with the 10 of Pentacles, that's your energy clarified by the Empress, right? Beautiful, beautiful frequency. And you're not doing it alone. You have support, even if you might feel alone right now. Morphogenetic field, consciousness, frequency, and you're always connected to the people in which frequency you resonate, in which frequency you are vibing right now. So even if you feel like you do it all by yourself, you're not. You're always connected. You're never alone. So, and I think you, with the Three of Pentacles, you're going to meet one of these wonderful people that are there actually and supporting you. Abundance Mandala. Okay, prosperity. As you meditate upon this beautiful mandala, notice how it is pulsating. Its pulsating energy draws your attention to its light-filled center. Feel the frequencies and colors flow through your body, mind, and soul. Life is magical. Every moment is brimming with creativity and potential. Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups. Definitely a lot of potential. Be mindful of the enchantment around you. Feel the life force and light. Feel the light and life force within you and imagine your energy embracing the entire world. Keep your focus on whatever you are doing at the present moment in time. Abundance is yours. So I kind of butchered it reading, but I hope the message came through, and it's pretty much in line and in frequency with what I just said. Love is all around, you know, nightingale spirit. And I feel like you have arrived, or you're arriving this summer at the long proclaimed new system, new life, new version of yourself. If you watched the 2025 readings, it's all about, you know, how these two systems, one system is pretty much becoming totally dysfunctional and kicking and screaming in the process. You see it whenever you watch the news, right? So there is something that is just ending, and it's ending in the most, you know, dramatic and, oh no, don't, please give me energy, entertain my BS, right? You know, work harder. No. And the new system is coming online, so to speak, or is becoming stronger. The new frequencies of the new system are becoming stronger. And it has arrived finally in 2026 within you. And you're just in that frequency. And that's beautiful to see. 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. Support from the universe, support from other people. And it is a daily choice not to entertain any BS, not to watch the news for half an hour or an hour or whatever, and, you know, scream at the TV and say, oh my God, it's also bad. You know, no, you got things to do. You got things to build. And if it's just sitting there and meditating and breathing, that is way better than bitching about the news or whatever is going on in the world. There are things you can change and there are things you can't change. Accepting the things that you can't change, that is the way to go. And concentrate, focus on what you can change with what you've got, where you are right now. And that's what I see you doing in this reading. Coming from a place of inner peace and really, it's just falling into place. You don't need to be the magician and manipulate outside stuff. You can just rest within yourself. There she is. Underneath your old version that might have been inspired by the magician, that collapses. And what is underneath? The Empress. She is all about inner frequencies. She's not the magician, she's the alchemist of the tarot deck. So, my dear alchemist friend, this is going to be a great summer. And I'm really happy for you. Check out your yearly reading if you like, and share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. Hopefully I see you next time. Ciao.